Great to see everyone tonight. And tonight we are going to be focusing on the 13th pearl of wisdom, which is wealth and wealthy.
Thank you, Catherine. And here we go. Okay, Catherine, you'll take care of the waiting room.
Yes, indeed. And welcome Daniela and Renelle. They just keep coming in, Mynoo. We love the Thursday nights, that's for sure. I will take care of the back for you.
Great. Okay, thank you. Good evening. Middle of the night to me, and not quite middle of the night. It's, I think, 2:30 in the morning here in Germany. And good morning to those from India and Australia that are joining us.
Jeremy.
Well, I must say, quite surprised at wealth. We'd only just done a session on prosperity. You know, prosperity, the 7 flows that culminate into prosperity, being a pearl of wisdom, for my logical mind made a lot of sense. And then I had wealth, and then we have money coming up next week. And then there is abundance itself coming up as one of the pearls of wisdom at some point very soon. So it's interesting, you know, remember I talk about that each pearl is a pearl that, makes this world a world that works for everyone. So like literally each pearl by itself has that effect. And when we string together all of these pearls, you know, one way or another, we will have a world that works for everyone. So it was interesting to uncover that wealth in itself is one of such pearls. So as I went deeper into how does wealth become a pearl of wisdom, it was important to understand what wealth is. And every word has an innate vibration. And what I'm about to share is what comes together and constitutes the innate vibration of being wealthy. So wealth in itself has got certain characteristics, and they come together when one chooses to be wealthy. That in itself was an interesting understanding, to learn that having money does not equal being wealthy. It's a state of being that one adopts. And that state of being brings in ways in which people behave. And when they behave, remember in my be world, behave is be and you have. And what you have what makes up wealth. So let's go deeper into what is wealth and what does it mean for all of us to understand it, attract it, embody it, and be in flow with it. And remember, these pearls of wisdom are coming through to enable us to stay in flow, flowing in this flowing current. Today for the US, it is the 4th of March. For us here, we are already in the 5th of March. And really the date of 4th of March has been, if you write it down, it is 4321. Voila, we enter the first slipstream of 2021. So it's quite exciting to actually get an understanding of wealth just as we come to that first threshold point in 2021, and just as we start this and cross the threshold in other parts of the world where we enter the slipstream. More about the 2021 energies in the recordings that are there on YouTube, which are called 2021 energies, under a playlist of Beyond Meditation, in case anybody wishes to know more about that. So wealth. Well, the secret lies in how we write the word itself. And these pearls have been talked about in clusters of 7. So there are these 7 components that make up wealth and wealthy. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. The first one was an odd one. And it is about the water-like strength and power that wealth has. So water is a carrier. It's a carrier of the seed of life. It has the ability to flow. It has the ability to adapt and change its flow as necessary, but it will carry the seed of life. Wealth, what is it a carrier of? Wealth is a carrier of aliveness. So that was interesting. So just like water has its own way in which it moves, and it takes a lot to actually control the flow of water. And from time to time, nature colludes, and there is such a humongous collection of water that the water body swells up and it can flow so rapidly, and it will flow with its own power that it can actually cause severe destruction. And left to its own devices, it finds its own flow. It can flow around rocks. It is unencumbered if you just leave it to its own devices. It can find a way of going around things. It can flow underground, it can flow overground. And if you, it has the ability of washing away that which you wish to clean out without necessarily absorbing the energy of what you're cleaning out by itself. It will maintain the flow. It remains the carrier of the seed of life. Similarly, wealth, in its energetic constitution, it is a carrier of aliveness, and it will flow. It will bring about aliveness. You try and curtail it, you try and control it. It really becomes a very trying task. It is down to us as humans to activate and invoke that energy of flow, of aliveness. And you can do that by choosing to be wealthy. So hence, wealth is actually quite detached from money or transactions. It is an energy force that gets activated by us when we as humans make the choice to be wealthy. The interesting thing here, getting this understanding about wealth, implies that nature is infinitely wealthy in its, in its presence here. And therefore, it takes quite some effort from humans to control the aliveness of nature. I mean, even I remember the experience of weeding, you can remove the weeds and they keep growing up. Well, there's aliveness there. There is so much. I mean, this planet is really a planet of, where the energetic signature is a signature of aliveness. So wealth is quite natural to this planet as a medium of flow of that aliveness. So it's interesting how we have chosen as humans to attribute, that certain people are wealthy and certain people are not. Well, it really is. Nobody else makes the choice about whether you are wealthy or not. You are, or you're not, as a matter of your choice. I used to be a movie producer at one point, not that long ago. And I recall making, Bollywood movies, producing Bollywood movies as well as English movies. And in Bollywood, I used to be a little bit surprised at why we were making movies that were so extreme in their display of emotions, and some of the music and comedy and stuff used to be so in your face, slapstick in some of the movies. So my question I used to ask my sister, can we not tone this down a little bit? And she said to me, there are different types of movies we make for different people. This is a movie for for the masses. And they will make a choice whether they go and see a movie or they buy food for themselves. So we are taking them into a dream world that entertains them and gives them an experience. So my question to her was, well, in that case, why do we do previews of our movies with the elite? Why don't we do previews in the slums before we release the movie? Take their input, integrate it. And, it was like, yeah, let's do that. So we did it. And I remember the first preview that I went to, which was done in a cinema house in one of the slums in Mumbai. And I'm walking through the slum to the cinema house. And I mean, my God, it was such aliveness. Kids were playing about, somebody was cooking, making some samosas or something in this huge walk outside the house, and people in the community were passing by, and she was just wrapping this samosa and giving it to them. There was no transaction of money taking place. There's lots of vibrancy of color. But really, all of these people that lived in the slum, they just looked happy and vibrant. And we, the supposed wealthy, were trying to save them. From what? It was so evident that the aliveness that was there, was something that was infectious. I mean, even I was laughing and playing and teasing the kids that were playing around, talking to the women that were there. Somebody was cleaning, somebody else was telling somebody off for putting some rubbish outside their house. So this piece about wealth is a choice that we make. It has the same characteristics as water. In the case of wealth, it is a carrier of aliveness. So if you are to go deeper into what would the component parts be of you experiencing the being wealthy experience, the first question you would ask is, what is it that makes me come alive? Start building your repertoire and your treasure trove. I mean, these pearls of wisdom are creating some treasure troves for all of us. So your treasure trove that makes you come alive. And when you choose to be wealthy, you apply the carrier to it. And this carrier that gives you that experience of wealthy and brings the aliveness that comes at the step one of wealth, starts to collude with the universe as a powerful multiplier of the choices that you make. So that's the first part to understand. Wealth is a carrier of aliveness, and it has the strength and the prowess and the characteristics and many of the properties of water in being a carrier of aliveness. You literally can use your choice of being wealthy as a way of seeding aliveness within you. And just like I talk about in the 10 Commandments to the New World, I talk about it is all about thriving, not surviving now. And it is a shift from sustainable to regenerative. Wealth as a way of being wealthy. This wealth itself, because of the characteristic of water that it is carrying, it is regenerative. It will flow. Our physical bodies are predominantly water. This planet has water everywhere. And there is more water on the planet than there is land mass. So if wealth, it has got similar properties, then in the context of us being in our flow, then wealth and its characteristics play a huge role. They play a predominant role, us choosing to be wealthy. We automatically integrate aliveness, we automatically integrate thriving, we automatically go into the realm of regeneration. Let's look at the second aspect of wealth. And it's about engagement, engaging. So if wealth is a carrier of that seed of aliveness, for us to experience that aliveness, this second aspect of wealth plays an important role. It's about us being engaged in living our life. There are various resources that can be utilized to bring us alive. And, one of the resources is money. But truly, for us to be engaged, being wealthy calls for a full spectrum engagement from us. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental engagement. So it really does call us to allow the doing to flow. You choose to be wealthy, allow the doing to flow, and then, you carry on with, living your life with the doing flowing. So me making the choice that, well, we should really have previews for, in the slums, because that's our audience. That could have been an interesting discussion, and we did have discussions about it. But it didn't stop me from actually going ahead and doing it. Not many movie producers chose to do that. And it is actually quite something, doing a preview before the movie is released. Because, the reactions could be anything. I had to go in incognito as a producer. So people didn't know I was a producer. They were just like very excited that their slum was chosen to see this movie that was being advertised as the next release in a month's time. There's a lot of hype about this particular movie, that they were actually going to get to see it before anyone else. So there's a lot of excitement about it. So it was a bet that was worth taking. So similarly, what happens is once you choose the aliveness, and it literally is you choose to let this water in, water starts to flow and it'll flow. When the planet was created, Like I said, water is a carrier of the seed of life. Before life was introduced anywhere, the Creator sends water. So we are the creator of our world. And we choose to now create our world and our experiences in it. You choose wealth as and the carrier of the seed of aliveness kicks in, starts flowing. Then all there is to do for you is to figure out how you are going to engage in bringing this aliveness to life. You already have life. Always useful to, this is where I learned, when I go back and look with the benefit of hindsight, I learned how important it was for me to really become vigilant and aware and engage with awareness in whatever it is that I was choosing to live my life. I became discerning, I became very focused, and I became very conscious of the choices that I was making. I mean, this is the interesting thing as we start progressing towards the rest of the components that make up wealth and that are the constituent parts of what it means to be wealthy. There will be so much that you will be able to learn from the benefit of hindsight as you start looking back at your life. And all there is to do is to really start creating your own repositories for every step. So look at different times in your life where you're chosen to be a certain way and doing flowed. What were those incidents? What was going on for you that gave you that trust to allow doing to flow? And if you can't find anything from the past, it's okay. You can experiment. Make a conscious choice to activate wealth, flow of aliveness, and start being engaged in living your life. Now, when you start being engaged in living your life, you literally become quite holistic about it. And you also become very conscious of the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. Consequences, particularly, of the choices you're making along the way. And this how you choose to be engaged really provides you the pathways that you can continue to be informed by as you continue to bring aliveness into how you choose to live your life. The third component, or the third facet, is about authenticity. It's about authentic. And it's about who does this authentic apply to? It really applies to you. And this is where you would use your yummy yucky radar. You will get that feel of yumminess. When you are choosing to be authentic. So once you've chosen to be alive and you have decided you're going to be engaged in living your life, it's time to do so authentically. Be authentic about it. So just looking at, my own life, I have to say there was a point where I just felt infinitely wealthy. There's a switch that took place, where my my barometers or criteria that I used to know whether I was wealthy or not was very much about what I had, in terms of material goods. And then I go through my, series of awakenings, and I switch my own experience and understanding of what it means to be wealthy. And I actually start experiencing it. I see now how wealth and being wealthy was quite distinct from prosperity. And when I look at what made that up was environments, places, people, where I was able to be authentically me. I see now that this was the reason why I chose to go and live in Bali as opposed to come back to India at the time of my series of spiritual awakenings. Because India is where I originate from. It's full of family and friends, and who have a way in which they have positioned me, in the way in which they would interact with me. For me to experience that series of spiritual awakenings that were going to take me to new vantage points, and from those vantage points I would be co-creating the next phase of my life, and another. Even though I didn't know that was a game plan, I allowed myself to follow my intuitive guidance. I see now, with the benefit of hindsight, that Bali enabled me to be authentically me, because there people didn't know me, didn't know who I was. So whilst my logical mind was very aware of how I needed to present myself, for it to get comfortable, to just relax, show up by choosing to be and allow doing to flow, I needed to be in a place where I could do that without the logical mind going completely crazy, wanting to control my every step. And Bali was a safe place, far enough away. And in fact, even before I moved to Bali, I actually chose to move to Perth, Australia, which was really the end of the world. And nobody that I knew in Perth knew me in any other way than how I was showing up. So I could literally be authentic. Perth was just such a perfect place for me. Doesn't mean that everybody has to follow this journey of moving somewhere different. You can do all of this exactly where you are. For me to learn all of this wisdom and be able to apply it over a sustained period of time and experience the difference to such an extent that I can, in a very structured way, share it with others, I needed to go through that journey over that expanse of time. So you understand this. I mean, there are many of you here who've done the work on living from source. You know what your mastery is that puts you at the source of your life. If you choose to place yourself in situations, if you choose to be in your mastery in any situation, you can live your life with authenticity. And there is no reason why we don't just choose to be wealthy straight away and follow and activate these different component parts. So here, what I did for myself, and I use it all the time. I was looking for, how do I know when I am authentic? How do I know what my triggers are that might be like curveballs that might take me away from being authentic? And even though it is only momentary and I'm able to recover quite fast, it was useful to understand what they were. So I was literally doing authentic. whilst being wealthy. The moment you choose to be wealthy, there is a flow that automatically occurs in your doing. We don't consciously choose wealthy. We do often consciously choose to judge and evaluate wealth and wealthy from a distance. So we keep it at an arm's length. Hence, there's stop, start, false starts in the context of aliveness. And it doesn't have to be that way. Let's engage in aliveness as opposed to engage in judging and evaluating wealth and wealthy. I mean, this understanding that it is akin to water, just imagine, water, you can just even throw a glass of water on the floor, it will find its own flow. You don't have to prepare the floor in a huge way so the water can find its flow. No, you throw water on the floor, it will find its flow. And you can give it a structure and utilize the flow of that water to fulfill a particular intention. You can do the same in the context of wealth. Choose an intention of what you are to cause and make happen. And then your aliveness is directed towards that because the flow will happen the moment you choose to be wealthy and you bring wealth in. So authentic adds a very beautiful flavor to it. And the beautiful flavor, the beauty of authenticity that's added to wealth is such that it keeps that flow going. It's only when we are inauthentic that we have to find ways in which we can justify that inauthenticity even to ourselves. So we then bring in incumbents into the flow of aliveness. And we sometimes start blaming the energy of money or material good, accumulation of material goods. All of those are really resources, and they're valid resources. You don't become synonymous with a resource. You access the resource as and when you require it. They're there for you to have. Similarly, there are infinite resources that are available to us at any time that enable us to be in this space of authenticity, that enable us to engage in living our life that keeps bringing us alive. The fourth component or fourth aspect of wealth it's really love. It's a vibration of love. And remember, you heard me talk about this. The vibration of love is an amplifying vibration. It's an amplifying vibrational frequency. So you can just imagine the joy of choosing to bring in the force that is a carrier of the seed of aliveness by choosing to be wealthy. Bringing that in as a conscious declaration, starting to get engaged in living our life and doing so with authenticity. And then you apply this
I think we have a freeze happening. Can anyone hear Mynoo?
There is a freeze.
Okay, let's see. She should be back. Right. It's like watching that movie and you're sitting on the edge of your seat. Well, we're just going to have to sit on the edge of our seat just a minute more. So I will message her and let her know she is frozen. She may just need to refresh. Becoming engaged with authenticity. I'm just like ready. Okay, we've lost Mynoo. I think she's coming back on. I wish only that wisdom could flow through me and I could give it to you guys, but it's not happening tonight.
I'll come back.
She's back.
Amplifying frequency. Well, I'm using my iPhone now. I don't know why this happened. So I was saying, applying the amplifying frequency of love and doing so with love. And again, look how wonderful it is because it's regenerative. It gets you into a space where you are thriving because you're being authentic. And you are also regenerating the whole vibrational makeup of being well, of, having wealth and being wealthy. So this component of love, what it also does is it's something that comes naturally to us as humans. So it further accentuates authenticity. There's authenticity of whatever it is that we construct in a conscious mind. And there is the authenticity of being human. So it gets us to start being comfortable in this innate vibration of being human, which is love. What it does is it enables you to feel strong and present. And when you are present and you are comfortable in that presence and you've chosen the authentic path and you are engaged in living your life, aliveness is the result. And you already have activated this very powerful force, similar to water, that is going to create this ongoing flow of aliveness. What a yummy, juicy life you start to live. This next facet is a very interesting one, which is, it's a tango, it's a dance. So when you are, you do see a little bit of a dance when you look at water, that body that is flowing. Here you've got a flow of aliveness. And flow of aliveness really comes about in an exquisite way when you enter the realm of dancing with it. It's a flow of aliveness you can utilize that flow by engaging with other people, engaging and relating to others. And that relating to others calls for a dance. Sometimes you lead, sometimes they do. And these others could be human people, could be projects that you're engaged in. Sometimes the project leads you, other times you're the one that's leading it. But you've got those other elements in place. You're being authentic. You're in the vibe of love, which is you're being human. You are engaged in living your life. And you have activated the flow of wealth as the carrier of aliveness. So what helps you massively when you get into the tango? It just is such an exquisite dance form. You recognize the passion, the fire, the softness, the romance. And there's a very definite leader and a follower. And it feels like a flow. There is no command and control. There is only collaborative co-creation of celebration here that is taking place. So collaborative co-creation of celebration is an integral energy that makes up the overall energy of wealth. So the overarching context is aliveness. And you remaining engaged in choosing to live your life and doing so with authenticity, standing tall, being human, bringing in the powerful force of the love vibe, and then stepping into your dance. What this does, this aspect of wealth, the tango aspect, really calls you to be in touch with your passion. And doing so uncompromisingly. It's very much in line with something that is so core to my beliefs, which is that, whenever I die or anyone dies, there'll be some things they're satisfied about, some things they're not. Be it today, be it 10 years, be it 50 years. If that is the case, then why not live our passion now? Activating the moment to switch on wealth, the tango comes in. There's something else that this tango aspect does. It gets you to recognize your own qualities as a leader. It also gets you to understand where it is best for you to be led by someone else. And when you show up in authenticity, embracing, embodying, and being present to the vibe of love, engaged in living your life, choosing to come alive, there is no supremacy in being a leader. You start to recognize everyone is a leader, except in the overarching context of the game that you are playing, you start to become more aware of where you are to take the lead and where you are to allow yourself to be led. When I became aware of my source mastery, which is, I have and each one of us has it. When I discovered mine, which is to leave people truly, madly, deeply in love with themselves. Having people be present to themselves and their own worthiness, I really understood that I have a gift that enables people to step into that. So I lead that. But I don't have to lead them describing what it is that's really worthy about them. That they will do in their own way. Not being subject to a barrage of questions. They're going to generate that. And all I have to do is to facilitate just the right amount of interventions to, with little comments or little questions that enables them to feel that it is safe for them to recognize what's worthy about them. And as they do so, they start to notice the love that they have for themselves. I don't go in by saying there's something wrong with you. I'm going to fix that by having you be truly, madly, deeply in love with yourself. I just show up in my mastery and then choose to do the tango. Having activated this powerful force that brings in the flow of aliveness, choosing to be engaged in living my life. And doing so authentically, being in my mastery, standing tall, embracing my existence as a human, living my passion. When you choose to live your passion, it's a tango. It is as important to know where you are the best person to lead and where it is best for you to allow another to, so that you are led. And when you are working on it in the form of a tango construct, then you know that it is the co-creation that creates that amazing, exquisite experience. You look at the tango dancers, they are having a phenomenal time. And it's seeing them having an amazing time really spreads that vibe, and we all start having that amazing experience watching them do the tango. So what if you did that in life? I mean, it has been so amazing to know that this tango construct has been foundational for me as I've chosen to live an extraordinary life where all aspects of my life coexist with ease, grace, and joy. Without the tango, it wouldn't be possible. You get attached to one thing or the other. And especially now when we are at a realm in the history of this planet where the energy is a flowing current, what keeps you in your flow is your ability to live your passion. Your ability to do so authentically, being at the source of your life, knowing that you are at the source of your life and knowing that you have the capability and capacity to do so. And the next aspect of wealth, this is an interesting one. And it's an understanding of home. And this is something that I have said a lot, that this journey is a journey of coming home. It isn't an experience to be endured, so you can go home somewhere. This is a journey of coming home. So what makes up wealth? Home, coming home, understanding that what is home and accepting that unequivocally gives you a power and strength in your core that enables you to move forward in an unbridled, unleashed, unstoppable way, coming alive in every moment, choosing to be engaged in living your life, and doing so with authenticity, allowing that amplification to amplify and expand what is possible for you to the extent to which that you can go forth and multiply, and do so by stepping into the exquisite experience of a dance of tango, like tango. Home is where you are. So when you choose to be wealthy, it really gets you to get that where you are, literally wherever you go, there you are. Where you are is where home is. It is this physical body that is your home. So therefore, who are you? You are that speck of consciousness, which is that soul presence that resides, that has chosen this human body to reside in. So if this human body is the home for the soul presence, this is the interesting thing about this facet of wealth. If this human body is the home for this soul, for the soul presence, the soul itself is eternal. It is indestructible. It is limitless. It is unencumbered. All it's seeking is an expression of itself. It is already embodying all the aspects and facets of wealth that I've already talked about. The human form starts to provide confines, but really all it's meant to do is to provide a vessel and a conduit for the amplification of the expression of the soul. This understanding, it plays a really important part in feeling it's good to be home within you. You start accepting all aspects and all facets of who you are. And a journey of coming home is the complete unconditional acceptance of all that makes up you. And as you delve into these different individual component parts of wealth, and you do so with discernment, doing a deep dive into each of those areas, you start to notice how worthy you are. And you start to notice the vibration of honoring that worthiness. It literally, like a wave, it starts to rise. And honoring of your worthiness activates a second thing that you are born with. You're born with choice. You are born with dignity. You are born with your unique mastery that puts you at the source of your life. Honoring your own worthiness is what dignity is. It's only when we allow ourselves to become, to go out of that connection of honoring our own worthiness, is when we become, we're not that dignified and we choose to, rip other people's dignity. So this last part of wealth, home, gets you into a state of being stationed in whole and complete, knowing that wherever you go, there you are, and where you are is where home is. You can make anywhere home. Your external environment is only a reflection of where you are. So if you are comfortable in yourself, you will be comfortable in a monastic existence. You'll be comfortable in nature. You'll be comfortable in a mansion or an airplane, wherever you are. You're actually in your home, in your villa all the time. And then suddenly, this was such a massive turning point for me. Sleep was really important. The type of bed I slept in was really important. As I would travel, I would carry my magnetic mattress with me wherever I went. I had my far infrared blanket with its little, magnets in it wherever I went. I did that for decades until I got home is where I am. And then it doesn't matter. I had all these stories, if I'm not on the right bed, I don't sleep well, my back hurts. And I would actually feel all of those experiences. They were all real. And if I don't have enough sleep, then I'm really out of it. Stress builds up. And well, what happened? It only took me a few years realizing I'm not having any of those experiences. And I'm traveling and moving from home to home. What happened? Well, I got the realization, wherever I go, there I am, and where I am is where home is. And then it was wonderful to really know that wherever I am in the perfect bed. I get exactly the amount of sleep that I require. Half the time people have sleepless nights because they worry about they're not sleeping enough. Well, maybe your body doesn't require that much. What is needed is rest. I got for myself, and I share it with everyone, an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's not nothing unusual about me. That's what we require of sleep. But it just requires to be a deep sleep. So when you are not comfortable being within yourself, it doesn't matter that you have a most comfortable bed. You still may land up wanting to rely on external stimulants to have you go to sleep. I see now why wealth is one of the pearls. Just look at the combo, activating the flow of aliveness as a just like water, as an unequivocal force that will get you to experience aliveness. Once you activate it, it does not stop. If you don't allow that flow to happen, it can become overwhelming. But if you allow that flow to happen and don't try and control or curtail it, it won't go stagnant. And once you've activated it, it automatically calls you to get engaged in choosing to live your life. And when you choose to live your life, it also calls you for that flow to be a flowing experience. It calls you to do so with authenticity. Stationed in being human, which is being love, allowing an amplification of all of this. Being in a dance, sometimes you lead, sometimes the other leads, knowing that you are to live your passion and express your passion. Knowing wherever you go, there you are. And where you are is where home is. Whole, complete, comfortable in yourself. All of that together is what constitutes the innate vibration of wealth. The innate vibration of wealth is whole and complete. In flow. If you are whole and complete and in flow, nothing can come in your way. And wealthy is really bringing in the vibe of, yes, I choose to be wealthy. It really has nothing to do with anyone else. You choose to be wealthy. You automatically bring in more to make you experience that wealthiness. I'm looking forward to sharing the next pearl, which is about money next week. Because that is an important resource, but not the only one. So saying yes to all of these individual components of wealth is the beingness of being wealthy. And once you choose to be wealthy, you know you have flicked the switch on. And that switch on allows that power of the flow of aliveness to come in. It's the carrier of the seed of aliveness. Wealth is the carrier of the seed of aliveness, and that aliveness starts to flow. And everything then moves from there. It is a matter of a choice that you make for you to be wealthy. And say yes to flowing with aliveness, engaging in living your life, doing so with authenticity, stationed in the vibration of love, amplifying all of this, doing your tango, and knowing that you are home Wherever you are home, and that is home. Saying yes to that stations you in whole and complete, and does so ongoingly. And that's what being wealthy is about. That makes wealth and being wealthy a pearl of wisdom. Over to you, Catherine, to complete.
I love that Linda is clapping. I'm going to second her on that. High five, high 10 for Mynoo. You know, this whole, and it just culminated. And right at the end, I was like, I'm on the edge of my seat. This vibe of yes and being wealthy, and that we choose to be wealthy. So brilliant. And I know that Karen was probably loving the analogies to tango. And I thought those were just so brilliant, Mynoo. So if everyone would like to take just a moment to pop your word or words in the chat, that would be great. I would love to read those from Mynoo, any words of closing that you might have. And I'll go ahead and just read those off. There's no place like home. Where are those ruby slippers? Yummy. I love it. Whole, complete, in flow. Yes, indeed. The wealth and beauty of dance. I am whole and complete. Thank you. Ah, Mary, such a sweetheart. We love you. Mary's up at all hours of the morning, evening to come and attend. Ah, Sushant. Does that say we?
Wealthy. I was meaning to write wealthy.
Ah, great. We got to hear you. That made it even better. Thank you. Feeling wealthy, being part of this amazing family. Yes. Magnificent. I'm doing the tango all the way to the bank of aliveness. That's great. I choose wealth. Thank you, Mynoo. The best definition of wealth. Flowing with the flow, slipstream time. Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing your gifts and allowing us to be in flow, love, and wealth.
How fabulous. Wow. Our slipstream begins with wealth.
And slipstream is happening tonight, tomorrow. We're headed that way.
The 5th, so we are already on the 5th. You guys are coming into it.
Great. Something to look forward to.
Yeah. 5th to the 13th, let's all get wealthy.
Yes, yes. And let's see, I need tango lessons, Karen. Slipstream is on its way. Hooray! I agree. Brilliant insight and distillation. Great wealth to all. Thank you, Mynoo. What a perfect way to lead into the slipstream. Heart, home, I choose to be wealthy. Well, here we go, guys. Ready for the slipstream. Any closing words, Mynoo, that you have for us preparing to go in tonight, tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just be very discerning and keep your finger on your pulse, right? The wealth definitions really say it all. Choose to be wealthy, and let's use the slipstream to get us to really imbue these vibes in us fully. So we come out being an amazing magnet for whatever it is that we require to express ourselves fully and come alive in every moment. Through our work, through our businesses, through our careers, in our relationships, and allow that which doesn't serve us to just fall away as we keep flowing forward.
Oh, Mynoo, what an inspirational evening. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for inspiring us, Mynoo. Thank you for the slipstream, to taking us with ease, grace, and joy where we want to go. And I'll read one more, Joni. The whole day's been flowing. So lovely. Thank you again. We love you. We can't wait to see you Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and next Thursday night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Mynoo.